What's going on, guys? It's your boy LQ, Mr. Real Deal Fantasy HQ. Fire content only. Here today to talk about Carson Wentz and his move to the Washington Commanders. Wow. Blockbuster trade. I mean, the trade wasn't, too crazy, but Colts got a second, 2/3, and, Washington got Wentz second and a seventh. So I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get right into the episode. Hey, before we get into the fire content, please make sure you hit that link in the bio, prizepicks.com. Sign up today using promo code FCO. You guys be set up for success, man. They're matching up to $100. You put in 50, you get 50. You put in 80, you get 80. You put in 100, you get 100. You're doubling your money. Let's get to the gold. Now, on to the fire content. We're talking about Carson Wentz. Now he's a Washington Commander. What are they getting out of Wentz? Well, they ain't going to be getting a leader out of Wentz because that's some of the things that, Frank Wright was frustrated about. Now, watching their Hard Knocks series, man, a lot of the frustration was expressed. You could just visibly see it. And obviously, disappointing ending, losing to the Jaguars, missing out on the playoffs. That was just, Frank Wright, we're out of here. We're done. Get Wentz the hell out of here. So, the Commanders get a guy that, I feel as though they're probably going to lean on to be the leader, but they should already know Carson Wentz is not a leader. And I definitely don't know where he's at mentally, so we don't know how he feels about all this. I haven't seen any reports of him speaking out publicly, but I can't imagine him being happy, being shipped away after one season. But, Frank Wright, he expected, 2017 Wentz, MVP Wentz out of him knowing the playbook, having that chemistry already there, but he just wasn't getting that, Carson Wentz said, he known and loved. So he had to move on. So now we got to look at Carson Wentz. There's some good to look at last season compared to his 2020 season, which was disaster, losing the starting job, just overall just looking terrible, going through the emotions. Him and Dougie P going back and forth in the locker room, players losing confidence in him, et cetera, just along the line. So the only good things that we could take about last season stat-wise is that completion percentage went up, the win rate went up, his touchdown to interception ratio went back up 27-7, interceptions, which is good. This is a good direction going forward, moving in the right direction to have an improved stat line. But the Commanders are actually getting, a guy that could be a serviceable quarterback that can definitely keep you competitive in that division with the Eagles, the Giants and Cowboys. So I think right now, we got to look at Carson Wentz as the serviceable quarterback that could possibly get them the 10 wins. I'm saying possibly the 10 wins. That's if everybody stays healthy, if everything goes right, they draft properly. Hey, maybe they hit free agency and they bring in some stud guys because Curtis Samuel's there, Terry McLaurin's there, Logan Thomas, and of course, Antonio Gibson's there. So they have some guys already there that can probably make a difference. But we just leaning on Carson Wentz, Sometimes he's a little reckless in his play, and hopefully Ron Rivera can get a grasp on what works on for Wentz, going forward. So I definitely think, Carson Wentz didn't really have that much to work with, over there in Indy. So he still ended up with better stats, than he had in Tyler Heineke with less weapons, in my opinion. So we got to look at Carson Wentz as a guy, when we're going to these drafts as a QB2. He shouldn't be, going as your QB1. I mean, I wouldn't be drafting this guy as a one all be all my quarterback that's going to lead my my fantasy championship to team, but it's not going to happen. But I feel as though this is a good upgrade for Terry McLaurin, definitely from a Taylor Heineke, because if we look at the deep ball, this is the ball that travels 20 plus yards or more. So Carson Wentz ranked 6th in deep ball completions compared to Taylor Heineke, who ranked 26, and that's pretty much a large gap. That's pretty terrible, you know what I mean? And Terry McLaurin actually ranked 4th in air yards last season and 2nd in deep targets. So this is a huge plus to play on with Terry McLaurin and Carson Wentz. These guys are basically match made in heaven when it comes to the deep ball, completion percentage, and air yards. If those two can get it going, man, I definitely think, it's along the line of, Carson Wentz's little reckless play. But, hey, if he's going to air the ball out to a guy that's going to be down there that you can depend on, and that's Terry McLaurin, full send it, man. I'm definitely loving this marriage when it comes to the deep ball, and I definitely think Terry McLaurin is in good hands with Ron Rivera, Carson Wentz moving forward. Now, I definitely think, when we're looking at Scary Terry in these drafts, he's being undervalued right now because a lot of people are not believing in Carson Wentz. When people don't believe in the quarterback, that usually translates to some of the weapons. I mean, that's just normal, human behavior when it comes to fantasy. Guys think the quarterback suck, but then, the wide receiver, he must suck too. But that's not necessarily the situation because look at Terry McLaurin. He's a great wide receiver stud. He's like a top 10, top 15 guy with Carson Wentz. And regardless of Wentz, airing the ball out or not, I definitely think all around Terry McLaurin will be in good hands. So moving forward, man, it'll be very entertaining to see Wentz versus the Eagles twice a year. And he actually has Indy on the schedule as well. So these will be games I'll keep my eyes close on. It'll be very entertaining at the end of the day. I definitely think, Wentz mentally, he had a rough outing out of the Eagles, and I can't imagine him not feeling some type of way now being traded again. I definitely think his relationship with Frank Wright is a little damaged now, just based on expectations, what he should have been coming in. But from a fantasy standpoint, I think the weapons around him, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, can probably help his confidence if things are going right. So this definitely depends on Ron Rivera getting everything in order. This training camp, guys just chemistry, gelling together, the offense looking good moving forward. And hopefully they address the draft for their team needs. I definitely think, they could bring in some defensive, players and do that, but definitely hit the O-line, improve that O-line, make it a little bit stronger. Why not bring in another wide receiver and why not bring in another stud? Because I understand Curtis Samuel is there, but he dealt with groin injuries all last season that took him out for basically the rest of the season. So we didn't see much of him. You know what I mean? So I definitely like, Dami Brown, a young wide receiver going into his second year. Hopefully he could step up. But I'm not throwing all my eggs in one basket, depending on a second year breakout from him, just based on what we saw. We really didn't see him play. He faced injury and then he never just made his way back on the field. So I definitely think, it's a little unfair how Carson Wentz is always thrown under the bus as well. And he never really had a solid wide receiver core. Because honestly, if we're looking at Indy, he had Michael Pittman. That's about it. Molly Cox, Jack Doyle, yeah, they're tight ends. They were serviceable. Molly Cox found his way in the end zone a couple times, but that's cute. But is he a real weapon? You know what I mean? Zach Pascal and freaking, washed up, hurt T.Y. Hilton and like a hurt Paris Campbell. What are we doing? You know what I mean? Like Carson Wentz has never had a solid wide receiver core, even when he was with the Eagles, an old wash up Alshon Jeffrey and Golden Tate that was on the back end of his career, an old ass Deshaun Jackson that was hurt majority of the season. Like, come on, what are we doing? Look how long it took for the Eagles to actually get a stud wide receiver in Devontae Smith. And now we're looking at, Wentz going into, Washington with a slightly upgraded, wide receiver corps. Hopefully these guys can stay healthy as well. Because again, it's really only Terry McLaurin over there. And it's the same exact situation that he's dealing with, coming from Indy. So hopefully Carson Wentz from a fantasy standpoint can be serviceable as a QB2 for you guys in those super flex leagues. Like I said, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, that's a good little range there. Now, if he gets to 32 touchdowns and 7 interceptions or 8 interceptions or whatever, he likes to play around there. That's fine. You know what I mean? I'm good with that as my QB2. And hopefully this just builds him some confidence when he's able to beat the Eagles twice this year and actually get a revenge game on Indy and win in that game. Hopefully he could do that, man. Because like I said, he really wasn't that terrible last season. Like he was serviceable. Like I was happy, when he was on my fantasy teams. I was happy for, my Michael Pittman shares and obviously for my Jonathan Taylor shares. But, that has nothing really to do with Wentz. But like I said, I just feel as though he's coming in as a serviceable quarterback. So all the weapons around him should be fine, should be improving, actually, with guys like Curtis Samuel, if he can stay healthy and be on the field. Antonio Gibson, hopefully he can get more involved in the pass game with J.D. McKisson, likely to hit free agency. Hopefully he's gone and out of the way because we need some more Antonio Gibson in the backfield and catching passes out of the backfield as well. So definitely like that. I definitely think, you guys should be targeting guys like Terry McLaurin if people are going to be doubting him, undervaluing him, scared of Wentz. And you got a lot of fantasy managers out there in Dynasty that are holding on to Terry McLaurin, really just looking for any reason to get a big return out of him. So if the price is too much, I wouldn't be going out there giving an arm and leg for it. But if you're a Terry McLaurin owner right now, a shareholder right now, you should be fine. You should be living glorious unless you get that offer on your table. That's a little up there where you could just cash in right now. But I definitely feel as though you're in good hands all around with this offense. So Hey, man, hopefully you guys like this video. Hopefully you got some information from this video that can help you out moving forward. And hey, make sure you like and subscribe for your boy. And I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Peace.